Hi, I'm Professor Goins, and welcome to the Math Professor's YouTube channel. If you're looking for videos explaining topics in pretty much any college mathematics course, please consider subscribing and then checking out our playlist, watching videos, liking, commenting, sharing those videos. Those are all really simple, free interactions that you can do that would help us out to grow and to reach a larger audience. So, any of those things that you can do for us would be greatly appreciated. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the current video. What I want to talk about is taking online math courses. And I'm going to have some comments and some suggestions for those that have not yet taken an online math course, but you might be either registered or considering registering for one. And then also some suggestions and comments for those that are currently taking one. So let's start with before you've actually taken one. So again, maybe you're registered and getting ready to take one, or you were just considering it. Well, one thing I want to talk about initially is the differences between an online versus an in-person, which I usually refer to as face-to-face math course. And again, this could apply to other subjects as well, but in particular, of course, I'm going to talk about math courses. The big thing with that it stands out as obvious that you don't have when you're doing online versus face to face is you don't have regular routine class meetings, right? You don't meet. That's the whole point. But one thing that you miss out on, even if you can watch videos that I'll talk about here in a little bit, even if you have videos, you don't get that. It's not interactive, right? And you're not being asked to use the language in the classroom and to answer questions and to explain things. And not only that, but like let's say you're watching a video at home and then you're just like, okay, well I'll just talk out loud. I'll just explain things as I go. When you're in when you're in a course, you have an instructor, a professor right in front of you. They can immediately, like on the spot, like fine tune and correct anything that you're saying that's not correct or not precise, and add to your language. And so you're not getting that interaction. And you're also, when you're watching videos, you might be watching examples and things like that, watching explanations of content, but you're not able to say ask questions. You're not able to say, hey, can you do another example? Well, what if this happens? Can you show me what happens in this scenario? So those are all things that you're going to miss out on. Now, not all is lost. Even if you're taking an online math course, you can still have interaction with your professor, and you can talk to tutors, and you can do all their online things. So it's just there's a big trade-off, right? The other thing is that you might not have, when you do an online course, you may or may not have any videos at all. From the perspective of a faculty member, I know, at least at our college, there is not technically a requirement that I have to produce, or that any of the faculty members have to produce, lectures for their online math course. Now, of course, I've got the YouTube channel, clearly, where I explain lots of content, and Van Hamlin also goes through and we explain lots of content. And so we've got at least a couple hundred videos at this point. But also, for all of my online courses, I generally use MyLab that has videos built into it explaining just about all the topics. But just keep in mind that that's may or may not be the case for your course, depending on what college you are, depending on what course you're taking. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind, is make sure you know that you might have to search out some resources on your own. You should be provided with some, and you might have a class where the instructor has provided a lecture for every single topic. That'd be great, but it's not a requirement. Okay, so there's just a couple differences between face-to-face and online classes. One of the reasons that you're going to take an online class is because it saves time, right? You don't have the face-to-face meetings. There's probably a couple hours, a couple times a week. So that could be 4 to 6 hours right there. You don't have to drive to campus. Of course, if you're already on campus, and then you can just maybe leave earlier or whatever, or you have time to do other things. But generally, it's a time saver. A lot of times, college students, they're like, okay, well, I'm gonna take this class online, and then I'll do my homework and stuff at night or on the weekends so that I can work. And you know what? That might just be the scenario that you're in. You might have to do that, and that's fine. You just have to find a way to then get through the course. Um, on the other hand, it might not save time because generally students find that online courses are actually more work than in-person courses. First and foremost, you may have to go out and find extra resources. You are going to have to then figure out what study techniques work for you. Your studying might even be less efficient because you're not guided through it by the faculty member. And you might have to, just through trial and error, figure out, okay, well, what works? Is watching videos, watching certain YouTube channels, watching the built-in videos, say within MyLab, for example, or, whatever the case may be. Like, you have to figure out, what works, and you have to be much more independent. And that will take additional time. And so maybe the trade-off isn't that great. I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm just trying to give you some facts about the differences between these courses. In addition, you may have reduced faculty member contact. Now, granted, you should be able to email them, pretty much any day, and then get a response. Of course, you can email them anytime you want, but as far as getting a response, probably any day. So you do have that, and you've got office hours, of course. No matter what college you're at, you're going to have office hours, so you do have that. But you might, there's 46 hours in the classroom that there's contact that you're missing out on. So you will probably have reduced contact to that professor. Okay. Now they might make up for it and have, discussion forums and things where you can post questions and your classmates can answer, or, that they monitor and to kind of try to make up for the missed out discussion in class. So you might have a little bit of something to kind of smooth it over and kind of bridge the gap there. But chances are you'll probably have reduced contact. You must be an independent and self-motivated learner. You're not going to have that professor. It's like, hey, did you how's your homework going? Did you get it done yesterday? Do you have any questions or anything I can help you with? And then they're, like when you're taking notes, they're watching you, and they're making sure that you're on task. If you're playing on your phone or you're kind of chatting with somebody next to you, like, hey, get back to it. We're discussing things here. Pay attention. You're not going to have that. You're going to have to be much more independent, and that can be a challenge for people a lot, especially if you're a procrastinator. Then you're going to get into the situation where you may have to cram things, right? Which again is not ideal. But one thing that I will say is online courses is kind of the way our world is going, right? Our college has been offering more and more and more online courses because, well, quite frankly, students sign up for them. And it also helps us to reach a wider audience. We can have people that are a couple hours away, or quite frankly anywhere, as long as there's an internet connection. We can get people all across the country and even the world even. But it's the way our world is going, is learning through online means. And as a faculty member that really enjoys teaching on campus, that kind of stresses me out a little bit. I don't think that, on-campus teaching is ever going to go away. So that might be a little bit dramatic on my part. I don't think it's ever going to go away, but I want to make sure that is still a thing. But whether it's now or in the future, you're probably going to have to take an online course at some point, or you're probably going to choose to. It's the way our world is going. I mean, especially after, the world fell apart in 2020 and then everything went online. We were all forced to do everything education wise and other things wise, meetings and stuff online. Just some of that has been retained, and I don't think it's going to go away. So we just kind of have to learn to deal with it. It's easier if you've already done online courses, right? If you already kind of have that experience of being an independent and self-motivated learner, subsequent courses become, I don't know if easier is the right way to put it, but it just becomes more natural, I guess, to you. So, for example, people like, older generation, they might be like, okay, well, online, like I've never taken an online course. All of my educational experience was in person with an instructor. They guided me through. That's what I'm comfortable with. Whereas people that are, say, currently in high school or beginning college, they might be more familiar with doing stuff online. And so just that familiarity will make things a little bit easier, okay? Because again, it's more natural. Okay, so those are just some kind of talking points and some kind of comments and suggestions for things that I want you to know before you take an online math course. Now let's talk about, well, what if you are currently taking one, or it's starting very, very soon, and you're getting ready to go through it. Well, one thing as I'll say is treat your online math course as if it's a regular course, because it is, right? I mean, it's a course. It's a college course. So take notes, watch videos, read the book, do your homework routinely throughout the week. And again, as I mentioned before, it might actually be more work. So you might have to put in more time reading, more time watching videos, more time doing homework, more time searching out resources. You'll see what works for you, and it'll be trial and error at first, but you'll figure it out. But take notes and watch videos, use whatever resources your professor has provided for you. And if you need anything else, certainly you can search them out on your own, but also use your professor as a resource, right? Reach out to them and say, hey, do you have any suggestions for other videos, other books, or things like that? Speaking of your professor, make contact as soon into the semester as you possibly can. Even if it's a simple email where you say, hey, prof, I'm super excited to take this class. I love math. Can't wait to begin the course. Or it's, hey, prof, looking forward to the semester. Even though I'm a little anxious, I'm not a very good math student. I struggle with it, so you're going to be hearing from me often. Something as simple as that is a great way to start the semester, because it lets that professor know that, we obviously know that all the people in the class are real people, but when all I see is a name and I just see scores next to it, like in the MyLab homework, and then a name next to their exam when I'm grading it, you almost kind of forget that that's a person, right, with their own lives and their own attitudes and influences and difficulties and things like that. So reaching out to us as soon as possible, and trying to get to know us and let us get to know you. That's going to go a long way throughout the semester, because then, you're going to feel more comfortable checking in with us when you need help, and it allows us to help you better because we get to know you a little bit better. That's one thing that I particularly do not like about teaching online classes, is I really don't get to know the students. I really don't get that discussion and that dialogue and that, rapport that you get with students when you're in the classroom. I can't really joke around with people that are in the online course because we don't have that, personal connection. Stop by their office. If you're one of my students, stop by my office, and we've got a whole study area out there. So again, this is speaking specifically to my prospective students as opposed to just YouTube in general. But stop by my office, stop by your professor's office, and say hi. Okay, ask for help, and that will make them happy. I know I've had students before, they'll stop by and like, I'm so sorry for bothering you, but I've got a question. And I'll be like, okay, wait a minute. Please stop right there. You are not bothering me. I actually am happier that you're here than you're not here. Okay. Even when I was a student, I remember being like, I don't want to go bother the faculty member because I know they've got important things to do. Well, teaching is their important thing, or it's one of the important things, and they really enjoy it. And of course, I'm speaking in generalities here, and just like every other profession, there's probably some grumpy professors out there that would prefer not to, talk to students. Just like I'm sure there's, every other profession out there. There's people that are, not happy in their job. But then, generally speaking, we love to speak with students. We love to help students. And then just going through the course, right? Read and watch. Well, read your resources, read your book, read the materials multiple times, watch videos multiple times, because again, you're getting less interaction, so it's less effective. So therefore, you would want to say watch a video multiple times. Like if you're watching TV, it's pretty passive, right? You're not really, if you're watching, say, a rerun of The Office, or you're watching a documentary on the Discovery Channel, it's pretty passive, and you might pick up little things here and there, but you're not really remembering every detail, right? But think about like if you're watching a rerun of a TV show like The Office, right? If you watch it a couple times, you start to like anticipate, like I know what they're gonna say, I know what the joke coming up, I know what's happening in the scenario, and you didn't the first time, right? And even after watching it the end of the first time, you didn't remember all of it, but watching things multiple times would be very helpful. Last thing that I'll mention is I posted a video on how to prepare for an exam, and I think that would be helpful for those of you that are going to take online math courses, because a big part of that discussion was just how to study. And of course, in your online course, you're going to be taking exams, so you might as well watch it anyway. But I think it does kind of give you some additional techniques and suggestions for how to study and prepare for a course. Okay, so with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, and I'm just going to say, if you have any suggestions for other students who are taking online courses, please leave in the comments below things that worked for you, but equally as important, maybe things that didn't work very well. Like, what is something that you tried and it just didn't work? Or things that you wish you would have tried, things that you wish that the professor would do, things that you think could improve the online learning experience, because there's a lot of you guys out there that either will be, have, are taking online math courses, and it's generally a struggle for a lot of people. And I think a video like this could definitely help people out, and comments below could help people out too. So thank you for watching, and please consider subscribing.